So, if you're like most people, you probably have a few dreams up your sleeve. Maybe you want to become an aspiring writer. Maybe it's about owning your own business, building a life of freedom. Well, that's great, but let me tell you why it's probably something that will never happen. Number one, we are conditioned from a very early age to work for other people. For example, we all go through the schooling system: elementary school, kindergarten, middle school, high school. All of this is done in a way where we never question why we learn something. The curriculum isn't really something that we have a choice in, nor is it something that the teachers even have control over. There's a very institutionalized, regimented system. It's almost like a factory that we all go through, and we all learn and memorize and take tests in order to please somebody else, in order to get a grade, and we move on. No one really cares if you retain the knowledge, if you use the knowledge, if it ever matters to you in life. And you never question why you need this, and you never apply it. It's the grade that everybody focuses on, not the knowledge, not the skills, not the application. A lot of people learn, let's say math, for example, and they have no idea why this even matters. At no point are you taught to actually learn for yourself. It's always for some external carrot that's hanging somewhere. For your teacher, for your parents, for some ultimate destiny like a job or a college, some nebulous thing where they just want you to have a good grade. But whether or not you have the fundamental knowledge behind the grade actually doesn't matter. For me, I was conditioned to understand that, going to college was something that you just did. And if you're going to go to college, you might as well go to the best one. And so for me, Harvard was the top of the echelon that I tried my best to go for. And I dedicated all my time into this goal without really knowing why or what the purpose was. But I did so anyway. Grades, extracurriculars, making sure everything I did was done to craft the perfect resume and application for this. And I spent a lot of time and energy in this endeavor and actually made it to Harvard. But once I got there, I was like a dog that finally caught the car, and I had no idea what to do with it. And to be honest, I don't think I utilized my time at Harvard in the best way possible, because I had no direction. I only had a very specific goal that somebody else told me I should do. And once we finish up school, the next chapter of our life is all about work. We all know we need to get a job, we all need to make money, and the proverbial 9 to 5 is what most people fall into. And that work, again, is done for somebody else, a boss, a company. You're supposed to have unquestioned loyalty to this person that gives you a paycheck. And again, all your energy is devoted for this specific task. An external carrot, once again, that has nothing to do with who you are, what your dreams are, and what your purpose is on this planet. And that's just the culture of society in general, is work for somebody else. There's no sense of urgency for yourself. There's no sense of urgency to accomplish the goals you want to do. We get scared when we show up late to work. But do we ever get scared about not showing up for ourselves ever? Not really. It's not the same at all. We are hardwired from a very early age against this. But what if you did wake up? What if you did change the perspective here? Imagine a world where you're still working 9 to 5. You're expected to show up. The boss is still there. They're waiting for you to come in and to get stuff done. And he's going to fire you if you don't show up, or reprimand you and make you feel foolish for being late. But this time, instead of doing work for him, you're doing work for yourself. That book you wanted to write, he wants you to show up at the desk, the cubicle, 9 to 5, but this time you're not working on company tax reports, you're working on your book for yourself. And you're expected to write 25 pages a day for yourself. The moment you slip up and don't show up, he's going to fire you, and your dream dies right there before it even begins. As simple as that. Oh, but you say, that's a nice analogy and all, but I can always, rehire myself. I'm the boss after all, and I'll just do it tomorrow. But with that kind of thinking, again, you're back at square one. There's no sense of urgency. That's the same perspective you originally had. And with it, how much progress have you made on your goals thus far? If you want to make progress, then just show up to work. Make this work, the work for yourself, your number one priority. Everything else is a side hustle. Everything else, working for someone else, is simply a secondary process designed to keep the lights on. Enough so that you can go up and show up for yourself and make that the centerpiece for your life. The second reason why you'll never achieve your dreams is because it requires a sense of delayed gratification, and that is difficult. It goes against our human psyche to do something that does not provide us immediate rewards. Food, sleep, sex, all this stuff gives you an immediate sense of, okay, that was awesome. But in order to build something worthwhile for yourself, that payoff may not come until years into the future. Have you heard about the marshmallow test? Back in the day, little kids would be presented with a scenario. They could either eat the marshmallow that's in front of them, or they could wait 15 minutes with the promise of 2 marshmallows. Some kids were able to do so, some kids wanted to wait, and they found that when these kids had become older, the kids that were able to delay their gratification actually ended up being somewhat more successful in their job and their test scores. And the theory is those, again, that are able to delay that reward and to be able to fight for something that may only come in the future have the wherewithal to actually accomplish something bigger. Your dreams are all about fighting for something that may only come in the future. Do you have the discipline necessary to get you there and to wait and to fight? Do you have to practice discipline? This is actually a muscle that you can train and you can become better at day after day. Many people fail to realize this and think of it as some obscure fixed quantity that they're born with, and thus they fail to realize it's something that can inherently become a strength that they then build for themselves. It's kind of similar to when someone says that they're bad at math, and I hate it when people say that, because basically they give up at the very beginning. They say, I'm not good at math, I'm not even going to try, and that's just not for me. They fail to realize it's just simply not for them because they haven't done it, they haven't tried it, they haven't practiced and worked on that skill to make it something that they could be good at. So it's kind of a self-defeating prophecy. And the same goes with discipline. If you do not treat it as a skill to actively work on, then it's just not going to be a strong thing for you to use. I encourage you to treat it as a muscle. You go to the gym, you work out, you tear up all the microfibers within your muscle, and then you recover and you let it heal. And when it heals, the muscle hypertrophies and grows and gets stronger in time for you to use it again the next day. Discipline is the same. The first day you show up to work, you push, you give it your all, you push your comfort zone beyond your limits, even if it's just for an extra 5 to 10 minutes. Stay to the task. Then you rest. You let it be, you let yourself recover. Next day, you show up again, and then you do the same thing but push yourself even more. Rinse and repeat. There's no way that this skill will not grow for you if you actively track it and you actively push yourself to increase your ability to stay on task. And dreams are all about fighting and working towards something that may only come after many years of hard work. It's kind of like the marshmallow test but on steroids. What if we did our own marshmallow test? What if I promise you that as long as you worked for yourself for 4 hours a day for the next 10 years on top of anything else you had to do to survive, and you never miss a single day, if you did that, I promise you that you would have anything you want come true. You want to be a millionaire, you want to have a life of freedom, you want to win the Pulitzer Prize, become an award-winning director. As long as you follow your regimen as strongly and clearly as you would for somebody else working a 9 to 5, I would promise you that your dreams would come true. Would you do it then? I would surmise to say, yes, of course you would. But the reason why you don't do it, even with that promise, is because of 3. Self-doubt. You inherently don't think that promise, that bargain, to actually be true. The marshmallow test works because those kids were promised 2 marshmallows at the end of 15 minutes. In the case of this exchange, you don't know whether or not I can guarantee you a life of all your dreams come true if you put the actual hard work into it. I can't promise you that, but can you? If you think no, then that is where that self-doubt comes in. You don't inherently think that you have what it takes to make it happen. So you don't know if you work your butt off that you'll actually reap the rewards. So you don't work, and then the dream never comes true. So it becomes a paradoxical cycle almost, and it all starts with self-doubt. With self-doubt, you don't actually move forward with what you want, and then it never comes true. The next technique is that you need to change your perspective overall and surround yourself with people who have made it, who have been successful. You need to show your mind that it is possible. While the majority of people may be stuck in their 9 to 5 jobs, you need to surround yourself with people that take the alternative path, that actually fight for themselves. If that's reading more books about successful people, about watching YouTube videos of those that actually work on projects that they care about. Think about how they achieve success. What is the common thread underpinning all of their journeys? Let your brain understand that the promise to be true. As long as you put in work for yourself and show up, one day something will happen. You need to convince your mind that that is true, and you need to see real examples of that in action. Destroy that self-doubt. You are not that different from those that actually make it. You just haven't walked or stayed on the path yet. If you're not on the path, get back on it. Don't get distracted and practice walking it each and every single day. And the 4th reason why you will never achieve your dreams is because the journey is inherently very lonely. Even if a genie came up to you and told you that in 5 to 10 years time, as long as you put in the work, all your dreams will come true. Even then, very few people will be able to walk that path each and every single day. And that's because it's hard, it's difficult. It requires a lot of discipline and grit, which a lot of people just simply don't have. As a culture, we celebrate wins and successes as big moments, usually at the very end. If you watch the Olympics, you'll see them celebrating, fireworks going off, tears being shed, with their nice gold medal at the very end. And that's what we see, and that's what we celebrate. You know, the optics of that looks great and all, but it's all wrong. What you don't see is all the months and years, decades maybe, of hard work and training that goes into all that. All that is lonely. Nobody sees that. Nobody cares. You know, everyone's doing their own thing at that point in time. But it is those moments that need to be celebrated. And for yourself, by showing up to do the work you need to do, you are in fact achieving it already. That's the time that you need to celebrate. Remove all the fireworks at the very end and put it where it really matters, on the day to day. Each day that you show up is another milestone you've achieved. That's when the fireworks are going off. That's when you should celebrate and realize that you're doing something that very few people can, especially if you stick with it day after day after day. If you change your perspective and focus on that journey rather than the very eventual outcome, it becomes that much easier, because showing up day after day after day is all within your control. There's nothing there that prevents you from doing so except for your own ability. And that is empowering, because at that point in time, it doesn't really matter. And the most important part of this perspective shift is that it takes away all the power at the very end, the eventual outcome, and it puts it on the journey, the day by day aspect that you can control. Because when this happens, you are no longer focusing on some mental image that comes many years in the future. You're focusing on a success that can be defined by each and every single day. It's not defined by a gold medal that somebody else gives you. It's defined by you. It's defined by you showing up. And nobody can take that away from you. As long as you put in the hours, you deserve a reward. You deserve the recognition that you are doing something that very few people can. And to go along with this, what can make the journey that much easier is if you break up the whole journey into small milestones that you can celebrate each and every single step of the way. And this can be as arbitrary as you want it to be. The point is to give yourself something to look forward to. If you're trying to build, let's say, a YouTube business and get 100,000 subscribers, there's no reason why you can't celebrate each time you get 10 new subscribers. By doing this and setting tiny goals for yourself, you make the journey that much more fulfilling and that much more easy when you have something more tangible to look forward to. One other way to help with the journey is to actually find meaning in the walk, in the journey itself. There's a concept of flow. If the task that you're engaged in is something that you inherently enjoy, entering that flow state can make a huge difference. In a flow state, time warps and becomes something that you don't even pay attention to, because you're just so actively focused and engaged in the task at hand that you don't need any external sources of gratification at all. It's like the moment when you're driving on the highway and time just seems to meld away because you're just kind of enjoying the feel of the car, the music is playing, and the peacefulness of that drive just kind of sends you on your way. If you can find meaning in the journey itself, again, you don't need any external sources of gratification. You don't need a carrot to power you, to give you the motivation to continue. It's like you're Mario in a kart and you're hitting those speed pow boosts all along the way, kind of pushing you forward. You don't even need to step on the gas in that moment in time. While driving, the road itself powers you to keep on going forward. And finally, what can help is just simply finding a partner, someone who can keep you accountable, someone who's on the same journey as yourself, achieving and pursuing their own goals. Keep each other accountable, have weekly meetups to discuss what's going on and where you are individually on your own journey. It's kind of like having a gym buddy. By surrounding yourself with people like this, the journey inherently becomes less lonely, and you can celebrate and share successes and failures all along the way and have someone to talk to about. If you don't have someone like that, reach out to me. I'm happy to be that for you and celebrate your successes along the way, because in the end, you have one life to live. Time is running out and you have to work for someone. Might as well make it yourself.